John, could you discuss your recent trip to Georgia, what you saw, how much damage there was from the Russian invasion?
You know, David, it was really an interesting trip. As you know, I went on behalf of the Atlanta Tbilisi Sister City Committee to present the 20th anniversary of the relationship with Tbilisi. And it was really kind of surreal because when the relationship first formed, obviously back in the 90s, there was a significant amount of conflict with the Russians that led to Georgian independence. And now to go back and see that independence challenged by the Russians was truly a historic time. The people there really have a sense of history. They have a sense of their place in democracy. They are very committed to democracy. The infrastructure in Georgia itself, in Tbilisi itself, was not significantly damaged. There was a couple of bombings of some airplane factories in the area, but the infrastructure of downtown was maintained. But what is different is the displacement of people. Obviously, people out of the South Ossetia region and out of the Abkhazia region and out of Gori, from where the Russians proceeded into Gori, were displaced, and they've become internal refugees within their own country. They're housed in gyms and in schools. There's currently winter housing being built for them by the government. So it really, the most direct, visible part that I had there in Tbilisi was the cost that it has resulted in individuals and the disruption of their lives from this conflict.
Do you see economic opportunities for U.S. companies to invest in Georgia?
You know, there was a great deal of concern that this Russian invasion would slow the progress of Georgia. Georgia in the past 3 to 4 years has been one of the most dynamic growing economies in Europe, and certainly creates a huge investment opportunity for U.S. companies. However, while this war was an extreme tragedy, out of that tragedy comes great opportunity. The infrastructure of Georgia will be built up out of the economic contribution that's coming as a result of this Russian conflict. So while it's certainly something that no one would ever wish to have occurred, we see great opportunity coming out of this conflict. And from this, we think Georgia will become a stronger economy. And as we all know, as they become a stronger economy, then they're able to become a stronger democracy.
What about tourism? Is that a possibility in the future?
Huge. Georgia, if you've never been there or never looked at any photos or others, is an amazing country. They're in the Caucasus Mountains, which are some of the most beautiful mountains in the world. They have great ski resorts. They have great wine areas. And tourism is an area that they are focusing on. I don't think that the conflict has slowed or caused a great deal of slowdown in potential tourism, but it is, even before the conflict, it was a developing industry in Georgia. I actually had an opportunity to meet with a development company, the GRDC development company in Georgia while I was there, and they're developing a world-class ski resort in Georgia. And it's actually, interestingly, it's actually in the location where the former Soviet Union used to train its International Olympic skiers. And obviously they don't train there any longer, and that facility is being developed by the Georgian government and the GRDC into an international level ski resort. So Georgia, in terms of all the different areas that it has great potential for tourism, great people in terms of hospitality. They're known around the world for their hospitality. So there are tremendous opportunities for the continued development of tourism in Georgia.
By trading with Georgia, are we therefore helping democracy flourish in that country? Or?
No doubt. And you know, especially in the follow-up of the Russian conflict, I saw a lot of reports about why Georgia is important to us. Our country obviously has fostered the democracy in Georgia. Interestingly, their leaders, the predominant number of their leaders are trained in the U.S. As you know, their president is a lawyer trained here in the United States that went back and led the Democratic Rose Revolution, as it's called, in 2004, leading to a far more democratic view of the Georgian government and Georgia society. In order for a democracy to work, obviously the people have to be able to have sustainable industry, and that's where economic investment is going to support the democracy. Clearly, the stronger Georgia's economy is, the more likely that their democracy will flourish. And obviously, the more support that their government will have for imposing democratic changes such as jury trials, which they're about to do. So we're excited about where Georgia is with the democracy, but we have to continue to support them financially And the best way to do that is not just aid, but it's through economic investment. Because if we're tied there in economic investment, we're going to be tied in the long term, and that's where we should be.